When you stop chasing, you don't lose people, you lose illusions. That's the truth most won't tell you, my friends. Everyone out there is trying to sell you the fantasy that your silence will shake their world, that the moment you stop calling, texting, or begging, they'll suddenly feel the earthquake of your absence. But here's the raw, unfiltered reality. They don't. Your silence doesn't make their heart stop. It doesn't freeze their soul. It doesn't make them sit up in bed at 3 a.m. haunted by the ghost of you. Silence only has power when there's already love in their heart for you. If there's nothing there, then silence is like shouting into an empty canyon. The only thing that comes back is your own echo. Before we go deeper, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe right now, not just for me, but for you. Because pressing that button is your way of saying, I'm ready for the truth, even if it stings. That small action, that's you drawing a line in the sand between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming today. Now, hey folks, let's imagine this. Picture yourself holding onto a rope with both hands, pulling, straining, bleeding from the cuts in your skin. You're pulling with everything you've got, but here's the kicker. The person on the other side, they already let go. They're not even holding it. And you're left there, fighting, exhausting yourself, carrying pain that isn't shared. That's what silence feels like when you're waiting for them to notice. It's you bleeding while they've already moved on. Or think about this, ever shouted into a storm. The wind just swallows your voice. That's how your silence works on someone who never valued you. You think they're listening. You think they're going to hear the absence of your voice, but truth is, they don't, because you can't miss something you never cared for. Maya Angelou once said, never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option. And folks, too many of you have been stuck as someone's option, hoping silence will magically make them see you as the priority. It won't. Here's a little fun but brutal image. Imagine trying to water a plastic plant. You're pouring all your time, your energy, your care into something that will never bloom, never grow, never give anything back. That's what waiting for silence to make them miss you really is. It's watering plastic. Looks like effort, feels like effort, but it's useless. But here's the twist, and this is where I need you to open your eyes. Silence may not move them, but it moves you. It breaks the illusions. It strips away the lies you've been fed, that if you just wait long enough, if you just stay quiet, they'll come crawling back. No, my friends, silence is not about them at all. It's about you. It's about reclaiming the part of yourself that you've been giving away like free samples at a supermarket. It's about standing tall and saying, I don't need to be heard by them. I need to hear myself again. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your silence is not their punishment, it's your protection. It's not a strategy to manipulate, it's a shield to heal. So from today, I want you to shift how you see silence. Stop asking, will they miss me? And start declaring, I will find me. Because the real gift is not their regret, it's your rebirth. Write it in the comments right now. I choose me. Say it, own it, and let the world see it. And while you're down there, don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to share will not only wake you up, it will set you free. Number 1, the harsh reality of silence. Absence doesn't create importance, it only reveals it. That's the truth most people avoid, my friends. We've been told 1,000 times that when you go silent, they'll suddenly wake up, realize what they've lost, and come running back. It's the fairy tale society feeds us because it sounds comforting. But let's rip that fantasy apart, because silence doesn't magically plant love where none existed. It doesn't grow regret in a heart that was never invested. Your silence only matters if there's already something alive in them to respond to it. If there's nothing, then silence is like tossing seeds onto concrete. No matter how much you hope, nothing will grow. Now imagine this. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror, holding a megaphone, screaming with all your strength. The sound is deafening in your own ears, but on the other side of that glass, there's nothing, just silence staring back. That's what you're doing when you think silence is shaking them. You're hearing the echo of your own longing, not their response. And yet, many still cling to the hope. Maybe if I stop talking, they'll finally notice. Maybe if I disappear, they'll start missing me. But let me ask you this. Why would they miss you now, when they didn't care when you were right there, available, present, and giving them your all? If your presence wasn't enough, why do you believe your absence suddenly will be? The fear creeps in, doesn't it? The fear that if you let go, if you stay silent, they'll forget you completely, that they'll erase you like chalk on a board, and the memories you're holding on to will fade away as if they never mattered. That fear is what keeps you checking your phone, scrolling back through old messages, replaying every moment in your mind. But let's face the brutal truth. They didn't forget you. They chose to live without you. And that choice wasn't made yesterday. It wasn't made when you stopped speaking. It was made long before, in the way they ignored your effort, in the way they dismissed your love, in the way they showed you, through silence of their own, that you were never their priority. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone does not value you, do not be angry with them. Value yourself instead." That's where the real shift happens. The pain you feel isn't because silence doesn't work. The pain is because you've been using silence for the wrong reason. You've been using it as a weapon to pierce their heart instead of a shield to protect your own. And when you aim silence outward, hoping it will control them, you set yourself up for disappointment because you're still chained to their reactions, still hoping, still waiting. But when you turn silence inward, when you say, "This is for me, not for them," that's when silence transforms into strength. Think of a candle burning in the dark. You keep it lit, thinking they'll see the light and return. But the truth is, they're not even looking your way. You're exhausting your wax, burning yourself out, hoping they'll notice a glow that was never meant for their eyes. Why not take that flame and light your own path instead? Why not let your silence guide you away from the shadows of waiting into the clarity of freedom? Here's why it feels so hard, my friends. Because silence exposes what you've been running from. It forces you to face the truth. It's easy to keep chasing, easy to keep talking, easy to keep hoping, because that noise distracts you from the reality that they never cared the way you wanted them to. But silence is brutal honesty. It's the moment the music stops and you realize you were the only one dancing. And that hurts. It shakes you. It makes you question your worth. That's why so many break their silence, not because they want to, but because the quiet feels unbearable. But remember this. Silence is not punishment, it is purification. It burns away the lies you've been telling yourself. It clears the fog of illusions. It rebuilds the connection not with them, but with yourself. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your silence is not about gaining mastery over their emotions, it's about regaining mastery over yours. So the next time you sit there wondering, "Are they missing me?" flip the question. Ask yourself instead, "Am I missing me?" Because that's the truth. You've been gone from your own life for too long, pouring everything into someone who never poured back. Silence is your way of returning home to yourself, of finally listening to the voice you've drowned out beneath all the noise of waiting for them. And here's the beauty. You don't need them to feel your silence. You need to feel it. You need to sit with it, wrestle with it, let it sting until it transforms into healing. Because out of that silence, something new will rise, not the old version of you who begged, who pleaded, who waited, but the reborn version of you who stands tall, untouchable, unshakable. So say it out loud, my friends. Write it in the comments, not as a whisper, but as a roar. Silence is my strength. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you are no longer using silence to beg for attention. You're using it to build power. Let this be your declaration, because this is only the beginning. Stay with me, because what comes next will not just wake you up. It will transform the way you see everything. Number 2, why they don't miss you. People don't miss what they never valued. My friends, that line may cut deeper than anything you've heard today, but it's the truth you've been running from. You've been told over and over again that silence will create longing, that if you just pull away, they'll suddenly see your worth. You've been told that absence makes the heart grow fonder, but that's only true if the heart cared in the first place. And here's the brutal reality. They don't miss you, because to miss someone is to recognize their value, and they never truly recognized yours. Imagine this with me. Think about a crowded party where music is blasting, people are laughing, drinks are flowing. You slip quietly out the back door, unnoticed. Hours pass. Does the party stop because you left? No! The music plays on, the laughter continues, the glasses keep clinking. That's what it feels like when you leave their life. They didn't pause. They didn't look around and say, "Wait, where did they go?" Because in their mind, you were never the center of the room. You were just there, blending into the background. And when you left, it didn't change the rhythm of their world one bit. And I know that thought stings, because deep down, you wanted to believe you mattered more than that. You wanted to believe your absence was noticeable, unforgettable. You wanted to imagine them lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, haunted by your silence. But ask yourself honestly, did they ever show you that you were unforgettable when you were right there beside them? If they ignored your texts when you were available, why would they chase your silence when you're gone? Here's another picture for you. Imagine tossing a pebble into the ocean. The ripples expand for a moment, then disappear, swallowed by the endless waves. That pebble is your silence. It doesn't change the sea. It doesn't leave a scar on the water. It simply vanishes, forgotten, because the ocean is too vast to notice. That's their heart, not because you weren't enough, but because they never made room for you in the first place. And yet, here's where the fear takes over. You start asking yourself, what if I never mattered at all? What if everything I gave was meaningless? What if they truly don't care? Those questions haunt you, don't they? They circle your mind like vultures, feeding on your insecurities. And that's why people cling to the lie. Because it's easier to believe that silence is secretly working, that deep down they must be missing you, than it is to face the terrifying possibility that they've already moved on without a second thought. But let me break the lie for you, once and for all. They don't miss you because they never valued you in the first place. And that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their blindness. People only miss what they respect. They only grieve what they cherish. They only feel the loss of something they once recognized as irreplaceable. If they treated you as replaceable, if they took your love for granted, then they can't miss it now, because they never honored it when they had it. Think about it like this. You've probably lost a cheap pen before. Did you cry about it? Did you feel a hole in your life? No, you just grabbed another pen and moved on. That's how they treated you. Not because you were cheap, but because they never saw your value. They never realized you were a rare, one-of-a-kind ink that could have written their story in gold. They thought you were replaceable, so they replaced you without hesitation. Maya Angelou once said, "Never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option." And that's the truth here, my friends. You were an option in their life, not a priority. And silence doesn't change that dynamic, it only reveals it. Now, let's rise above the fear. Let's flip the script. Because the question you should be asking isn't, why don't they miss me? The question is, why am I still waiting for them to? Why are you sitting in the prison of their indifference, begging for chains to feel heavier, just so you can believe they exist? Why are you wasting your life hoping for validation from someone who couldn't even bother to show up when you needed them most? Here's the truth that sets you free. They don't miss you, but you don't need them to. Their indifference isn't your curse, it's your liberation. Because what you've mistaken for loss is actually the gift of clarity. Their lack of missing you is proof that you were never where you belonged. And that means you're free to stop chasing, free to stop waiting, free to stop torturing yourself with fantasies of their regret. Rumi said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." The pain of realizing they don't miss you, it feels unbearable now, but it's the very medicine your soul needs. Because it's forcing you to let go of illusions, to stop investing in empty wells, to stop pouring water into cups that never wanted to hold you. Think of a tree in autumn. The leaves fall, and at first it looks like death. It looks like loss. But the tree isn't dying. It's preparing for rebirth. The branches are clearing so that new growth can come in the spring. That's you. They don't miss you, and it feels like loss, but it's really renewal. Their indifference is your autumn, and your spring is coming. New love, new strength, new life. But only if you let go of the lie, only if you stop waiting for silence to do the work that was never its job. Silence was never meant to make them miss you, it was meant to help you find you. And when you truly find yourself, you won't even care whether they miss you or not. Their absence will no longer define your value. Their silence will no longer echo in your soul. So stand tall, my friends. Stop begging to be missed by people who never saw you. Stop watering plastic plants. Stop tossing bottles into an ocean that never writes back. And start investing that energy where it matters, into you, into your growth, your peace, your empire. Say it with me. Write it in the comments so the whole world can see. Their regret is not my reward. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you're done waiting to be missed. You're done hoping for echoes in empty places. You're ready to rise, not because they care, but because you finally do. And stay with me, because what's coming next will open your eyes even wider. We've shattered the illusion of being missed. Now, let's step into the truth of what silence really creates for you. And it's not about them at all. It's about becoming untouchable. Number 3. What they actually feel. Indifference is louder than hatred. It tells you they've already moved on. My friends, this is going to sting, but lean in close because you need to hear it. You've been picturing them pacing the room, heart aching, staring at the phone, waiting for a message that never comes. You've been imagining that your silence is thunder in their life, shaking them awake in the middle of the night. But here's the truth. They don't feel that storm. They don't feel the quake. What they actually feel is nothing. And nothing hurts more than that, doesn't it? Because at least anger would mean you mattered. At least heartbreak would mean you touched them. At least regret would mean you left a mark. But indifference, that's a knife that twists deep because it feels like you never existed at all. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you own a coffee shop and every morning a customer comes in. They sit at the same table, order the same drink, stay for hours. One day, without warning, they stop coming. Do you close the shop in grief? Do you spend sleepless nights wondering where they went? No! You keep the doors open. Another customer takes the seat. Another order is made. Life goes on. That's how they see you. You were routine, convenience, background noise, and when you left, they didn't feel heartbreak. They felt a gap that was quickly filled with something else. It's brutal, I know. But think about this. If your love was treated like background music, why would you expect silence to suddenly become deafening to them? If they ignored your voice when it was speaking, why would they suddenly crave it when it's gone? That's the illusion society sells you, my friends. The idea that silence is a weapon of power over them. But silence is not their weakness. It is your mirror, let's be real. At best, what they feel is inconvenience. If you used to text good morning, and now you don't, they might notice the lack of that little hit of validation. Not because they miss you, but because they miss the ease of your attention. Like someone losing their favorite jacket. They didn't care when it was thrown on the floor, forgotten in the corner. But on a cold day, suddenly, they start thinking about it. Not because they loved it, but because it served a purpose. And that's not love, that's comfort, that's convenience. Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." They don't wake up with that thought about you. They wake up thinking of themselves, their comfort, their wants, their next distraction. They don't miss you. They miss what you did for them, the validation, the chasing, the effort you poured in without question. And when that disappears, they don't ache. They adjust. They look elsewhere for the same energy. They replace you. And here's where the fear grabs you by the throat. You whisper to yourself, if they don't feel anything, was I ever important? Did I ever matter? Was I just disposable? And that fear gnaws at your soul because it feels like an erasure of your entire existence in their life. But listen to me. You mattered. You mattered deeply to you. You gave love that was real. You showed up with a heart that was genuine. Their inability to feel it does not cancel your value. It only exposes theirs. Think about fire. When you hold it close, it can warm you, light your way, protect you. But if someone holds fire carelessly, if they drop it on the ground and walk away, the flame still burns. It just doesn't burn for them anymore. That was you. Your love was the fire. They didn't know how to hold it. They didn't respect its power. They didn't recognize its worth. But that doesn't mean the fire died. It only means they walked away from the warmth. And here's the harsh truth you must accept. They don't feel devastated by your silence because they were never invested. You can't rip out roots that were never planted. You can't take away something from someone who never held it in the first place. That's why silence feels like torture to you, because you were invested, you planted roots, you built castles in your heart. But to them, it was just a visit, a stopover, a casual convenience. And when they walked away, they didn't look back. So what do they actually feel? They feel free. They feel light. They feel exactly the same as they did when you were there, because in their mind, nothing has changed. And that truth will either break you or it will liberate you. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Their indifference is beyond your control. Their emptiness is not your burden. You cannot force someone to feel what they don't. And you don't need to, because freedom isn't found in making them miss you. It's found in no longer caring whether they do." But why is it so hard to accept this? Because your mind clings to the fantasy. It whispers, maybe they do miss me secretly. Maybe they're just hiding it. Maybe they'll wake up one day and realize. And those maybes are chains. They keep you stuck, waiting, hoping, replaying. And the longer you hold on to those maybes, the longer you deny yourself the truth. They don't feel what you want them to feel, and that's okay, because your worth doesn't live in their emotions. So here's your shift, my friends. Stop measuring your value by what they feel. Stop using their indifference as a mirror for your worth. Start recognizing that the emptiness you feel is not a sign of your weakness. It's a sign that you were giving love to someone who could not hold it. And that means your love is rare, not replaceable. It means your silence is not wasted. It's sacred. Let me ask you, do you really want to be missed by someone who only valued your convenience? Do you really want to be remembered by someone who couldn't see your worth when you were giving them your best? Or do you want to rise so high that their indifference no longer touches you, that their lack of feeling no longer defines you? Because that's the choice. You can keep clinging to the hope that silence will haunt them, or you can embrace the truth that silence will heal you. One road keeps you trapped in their indifference. The other sets you free. So stand up, my friends, look in the mirror and say it with conviction. Their emptiness is not my reflection. Write it in the comments right now. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you are done using their feelings or lack of them as a measure of who you are. You are more than their indifference. You are more than their convenience. You are a storm, a fire, a force that cannot be ignored, whether they feel it or not. And stay with me, because what comes next is even more powerful. If they don't feel your silence, then what does silence really create? Not for them, but for you. And the answer might just transform the way you see everything. Number 4, the truth about control. You control nothing in their heart. You only control what lives in your own. My friends, let's cut right through the fantasy. You've been told that silence is a secret weapon, a way to twist their emotions, a way to make them chase you, regret losing you, or wake up to your worth. But here's the brutal truth. Silence does not control them. It never did. It only controls you. And that's the lesson you've been avoiding, because the truth is harder than the lie. The lie feels safe. It whispers, if I just stop talking, they'll feel my absence. If I just go quiet, they'll start missing me. But that's not how it works. Think about it like this. Imagine you're standing at the helm of a massive ship in the middle of the ocean, gripping the wheel with all your strength, fighting the waves. But here's the catch. That ship isn't yours. No matter how hard you pull, no matter how much you strain, the wheel doesn't turn. The ship sails wherever it wants, and you're left exhausted, believing your grip should matter when it never did. That's what happens when you use silence as a weapon. You're trying to steer a vessel that was never in your control. And isn't that what you've been doing? Sitting in silence, staring at your phone, wondering if they'll finally break? Telling yourself that every day you don't speak is another day they're haunted by your absence. Let me ask you, if they ignored your presence when you gave it freely, why would your absence suddenly become their obsession? If they didn't respect your words when you offered them with love, why would your silence now command their attention? The answer is simple. They were never moved by you. Not then, not now. And that's not your failure. That's their blindness. But here's where the real power lies. Once you accept that you don't control their feelings, their choices, their indifference, you reclaim the only control that ever mattered, yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's the truth most people can't face. They'd rather believe they can control someone else through games, through silence, through manipulation, than accept the terrifying freedom of taking responsibility for themselves. Because self-control means you can't hide behind their reactions anymore. It means you can't measure your worth by what they feel or don't feel. It means you have to look inward, and that scares people more than silence ever could. But let's paint another picture. Imagine you're holding a remote control, pressing button after button, waiting for the television to turn on. But the remote has no batteries. You keep pressing harder and harder, believing maybe this time the channel will change. That's what it's like trying to control them with silence. You think you're pressing the right buttons, you think you're triggering emotions in them, but there are no batteries, no connection, no power. And while you're wasting your life pressing dead buttons, your real power is sitting inside you, untouched. Here's where you need to rise from fear. You've been scared that if you admit you don't control them, then you've lost everything. But it's the opposite. Once you stop trying to control them, you gain everything. You gain freedom. You gain clarity. You gain the ability to stop living for someone else's reaction and start living for your own peace. Epictetus said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgments about them." And isn't that the truth here? Their indifference isn't what destroys you, it's your judgment of it. It's the story you tell yourself about what it means. You've been judging their lack of care as proof that you're unworthy. You've been judging their silence as proof that you failed. But their choices are not your judgment. Their indifference is not your identity. Their lack of love is not your reflection. Think about it this way. Have you ever shouted at the sky during a storm, demanding it stop raining? Did the clouds part just because you wanted them to? No, the rain fell, whether you screamed or stayed silent. That's them. You don't control their storm, but you do control whether you stand there drenched, broken and angry, or whether you step inside, dry yourself off and light a fire. You don't control the storm, but you control your shelter. So let's break the lie once and for all. Silence is not about bending them to your will. It is not about making them feel regret. It is not about punishing them for ignoring you. Silence is about reclaiming your power, drawing a line in the sand and saying, "I will not waste another word on someone who does not value me." Here's why it's so difficult. Because silence without expectation feels like death at first. It feels like letting go of the last rope you were holding on to, the last shred of hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd wake up. And your fear screams, "If I let go, I'll lose them forever." But tell me this, my friends, what are you losing? Someone who never chose you, someone who never fought for you, someone who treated you like an option while you made them your world? That's not a loss, that's release. Rumi once said, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way." How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come? You've been resisting change, resisting the truth, resisting the reality that you don't control them. But what if this truth is your gift? What if letting go of the illusion of control is the very thing that sets you free to build the life you've been waiting for? Because here's the transformation. When you stop trying to control them, you finally begin to control yourself. You start redirecting the energy you wasted pressing dead buttons and gripping empty ropes into your own growth, your own empire, your own power. You stop being the one waiting in silence for someone to notice, and you become the one whose silence is sacred, untouchable, undeniable. And that's when everything changes, not because they suddenly care, but because you no longer do. You no longer live and die by their reactions. You no longer measure your worth in their absence. You no longer cling to the lie that silence can move them. Instead, you embrace the truth that silence has moved you out of weakness, out of illusion, into strength. So say it with me. Write it in the comments right now for yourself, for the world, for everyone who ever made you feel powerless. I reclaim my control. Let it be your declaration. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you are no longer using silence as a weapon against them. You are using it as a shield for you. And stay with me, because this is only the beginning. If silence doesn't control them, then why does it matter? What does silence truly create for you? The answer will shake you in the best way possible. Number 5, why silence still matters. Silence is not empty. It's full of the answers you've been running from. My friends, here's where we flip the script. You've been sitting in the shadows thinking, if they don't miss me, if they don't care, then what's the point of silence at all? And that's the trap. That's where most people give up, break the silence, send the text, or make the call. They confuse silence as useless just because it doesn't shake the other person. But here's the truth. Silence matters, not because of what it does to them, but because of what it does to you. You see, silence is not a game. It's not a strategy to manipulate their emotions. It's not a trick to lure them back. Silence is the forge where your strength is rebuilt, where illusions are burned away, and where clarity begins to rise from the ashes. The world told you silence was about making them notice, but the Stoics teach us the opposite. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And silence strips away the noise, forcing you to face the colors you've been painting your soul with: desperation, fear, longing. Only when the noise dies down can you finally see those colors for what they are and choose new ones. Think about a storm. When the thunder rages and the winds whip, you can't see clearly. The world feels chaotic, unstable. But when the storm passes, when the noise dies, what's left? The sky's clear, the air sharpens, the ground is fresh, renewed. That's what silence does for you. It clears the storm in your mind. It doesn't make them miss you, it makes you see. But here's why so many people never reach that clarity. Because silence feels like death at first. It feels like disappearing. You tell yourself, if I stay quiet, maybe they'll forget me completely. If I don't reach out, maybe I'll vanish from their life forever. And that fear paralyzes you. But the paradox is this: silence is not erasure, it's rebirth. It's not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your return to yourself. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you're carrying a backpack filled with stones. Each stone is a word left unsaid, a text you're dying to send, a call you want to make. You carry that weight every day, and it breaks you. But when you choose silence, you start setting the stones down one by one. And with every stone you release, you feel lighter, freer, stronger. That's what silence does. It takes the crushing weight of chasing someone who doesn't care and replaces it with the lightness of self-respect. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And isn't that exactly what silence teaches you? That they are beyond your control, that their feelings, their indifference, their choices, they don't belong to you. And as painful as that is, it's also liberating. Because once you stop trying to control them, you discover the only person you were meant to control all along, yourself. Now, let's break another lie society sold you. They told you silence is a punishment for them, a way to make them regret. But real silence is medicine for you. It's not about teaching them a lesson, it's about teaching yourself discipline, patience, and resilience. Every day you stay silent, you're proving to yourself that you don't need their validation. Every hour you don't break, you're reclaiming a piece of yourself you thought you lost. Every moment you resist the urge to reach out, you're showing yourself that you are stronger than the craving for their attention. But I know what you're thinking. Why does it hurt so much then? If silence is supposed to heal, why does it feel like I'm bleeding? And the answer is simple, because healing always hurts at first. The wound has to sting before it can close. The poison has to burn before it leaves your body. Silence is the sting, the burn, the detox. It feels unbearable now, but what it's really doing is pulling you out of the cycle of dependency you've been stuck in. Think of silence like a mirror. At first, it's terrifying to look into because it shows you everything you've been avoiding. the truth that they never cared, the reality that you gave too much, the pain of realizing you stayed too long. But once you face that reflection, once you own it, something powerful happens. You stop blaming them for not feeling what you wanted them to feel, and you start changing the only person you ever could, yourself. Rumi said, "Try to accept the changing seasons of your soul." Silence is that season. It's your winter. It feels cold, empty, lifeless. But winter is never the end. It's preparation. It's the stillness before spring. And spring always comes. Out of your silence, new growth will rise, new strength, new standards, new you. Here's another metaphor. Imagine you've been running a race, chasing someone who doesn't even know they're being chased. You've been sprinting until your lungs burn, your legs shake, your heart pounds, and then one day you stop. At first it feels wrong. The silence of not running is unbearable. But then you catch your breath. You feel the ground beneath your feet. You realize you're no longer exhausted. That's what silence does. It stops the endless race. It lets you breathe again. And here's the most powerful truth. Eventually, your silence will get noticed. Not because it was a trick, not because it was a game, but because silence changed you. When they finally see you again, they won't recognize the person who begged, who pleaded, who chased. They'll see someone transformed, someone untouchable. And by then, you won't care about their reaction, because silence has already given you everything you needed, the power to rise without them. So let's bring this home. Silence still matters, not because it changes them, because it changes you. It matters because it strips away illusions, clears your storm, and rebuilds your soul. It matters because it teaches you patience, resilience, and freedom. It matters because it shifts the question from, will they miss me, to, will I finally find me? And that's what I want you to declare today. Say it out loud. Write it in the comments, not as a whisper, not as a hope, but as a roar. Silence is my shield. Show yourself, show the world, show every person who ever made you feel powerless that you've flipped the script. Silence is no longer a weapon you point at them. It's armor you wear for yourself. And stay with me, because the journey isn't over. We've seen why silence matters. But now the real question comes. What do you do with all that energy you're no longer wasting on them? The answer will change everything. Number 6, reclaiming energy. Stop pouring into what drains you. Start pouring into what builds you. My friends, this is where the real transformation begins. You've already realized that silence isn't about them, it's about you. But let's take it a step further. Because silence doesn't just create clarity, it reclaims energy. And if you've ever felt exhausted, drained, hollow after giving everything to someone who gave you nothing back, then you know exactly why this part matters. Think about it. Every unanswered text, every ignored call, every moment you sat waiting for them to notice you, that was energy spent. Your time, your mind, your emotions, your heart, all of it poured out like water into cracked soil. No matter how much you gave, it never grew, it never filled, it never returned. And the tragedy? You kept pouring anyway. You told yourself, maybe this time it will be enough. Maybe if I give just a little more, they'll finally see my worth. But here's the hard truth. They didn't. They never intended to. Imagine holding a jug of water, precious and full. You kneel down to water a field, expecting green life to bloom. But the soil is poisoned, the roots are dead, the ground can't absorb a drop. You keep pouring, 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 until your jug is empty. And when you look back, nothing has grown. That's what you've been doing with your love. That's why you're tired. That's why you feel like nothing is left inside of you. Because you've been watering dead ground. But silence? Silence is the moment you put that jug down. It's the moment you stop wasting what's precious on barren land and start saving it for yourself. Every text you don't send is a drop of water you keep. Every call you don't make is another ounce of strength preserved. Every desperate attempt you don't chase is energy redirected back into your soul. Silence is how you stop bleeding out. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And tell me, what thoughts lived in your head when you were chasing them? Anxiety, doubt, fear. You spent nights replaying conversations, mornings checking phones, days second-guessing your worth. That mental energy could have built you an empire, but instead you wasted it on people who couldn't even bother to text back. Silence flips that script. It says, "No more. I choose me." And suddenly the thoughts begin to shift. Suddenly you're thinking about your growth, your goals, your peace. And let's be honest, this part is hard, because the moment you stop pouring into them, it feels like you have nothing to do with yourself. You wake up with time. You sit in silence with energy that used to be spent chasing, and it feels strange, almost unbearable. You think, I should be texting, I should be calling, I should be doing something. But here's the truth, that restlessness isn't a sign that you need them. It's a sign that you've been conditioned to give everything away. It's withdrawal, and just like any detox, the beginning burns. But stay with it, my friends, because what comes after is freedom. Picture this. Imagine you've been sprinting on a treadmill that never stops, lungs on fire, legs screaming, sweat pouring down your face. You're exhausted, but the treadmill never slows. That was you, running, giving, chasing. Then one day, you hit the stop button. At first, your body doesn't know what to do. You stumble, shaky, breathless. But then, you realize you can finally rest. You can finally breathe. You're no longer exhausting yourself for nothing. That's silence reclaiming your energy. And once you reclaim it, everything changes. You start seeing where your energy belongs. Not in them, but in you. Not in chasing, but in building. That same energy you wasted on waiting by the phone, that could be used to build your body, your career, your dreams. That same energy you spent writing texts they ignored, that could be poured into writing your future, one goal at a time. That same fire you used to beg for love, that could be turned into the fire that fuels your empire. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And energy is mastery. If you can't master where your energy flows, you'll always be a slave to someone else's indifference. But when you redirect that energy, when you stop handing it out like free samples to people who don't deserve it, you become unstoppable. Here's another metaphor for you. Imagine your energy as gold coins. Every day you wake up with a certain amount in your pocket, and instead of spending it wisely on your growth, your health, your purpose, you've been throwing it into someone else's empty well, day after day, coin after coin, until you're broke. And they never even said thank you. Silence is the moment you close your fist and say, "No more. This wealth belongs to me." But let's address the fear, because it creeps in here too. You're scared that if you stop giving, you'll lose them forever. You're scared that if you reclaim your energy, they'll never come back. But my friends, think carefully. If someone only stays because you keep draining yourself, then what are they really giving you? If the only way to keep them in your life is by sacrificing your peace, then what are you holding on to? That's not love. That's dependency. And you were never meant to be someone's battery pack. Rumi said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." And this is it. The pain of reclaiming your energy, the pain of silence, that is your cure. Because little by little, drop by drop, you begin to feel yourself returning. You laugh again. You dream again. You breathe again. You start remembering the version of you that existed before you gave everything away. And that version, That's who silence is bringing back. So let's rise together. Stop pouring into what drains you. Stop bleeding out for people who never patched your wounds. Stop wasting energy hoping silence will break them. Let silence break the cycle inside you instead. Because once you reclaim that energy, once you redirect it, you become unstoppable. Say it with me now. Write it in the comments so the whole world can see. My energy is mine. Say it like you mean it. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you are no longer a battery for someone else's indifference. You are the fire fueling your own rise. And stay with me, because this is where the story turns. Once you've reclaimed your energy, the question becomes, what happens when they finally notice you're gone? What happens when silence does reach their ears? The truth might shock you. Number 7. When they finally notice. They don't notice you because they love you. They notice you because they lost their convenience. My friends, this is the moment you've secretly been waiting for, isn't it? That moment when their phone buzzes with silence instead of your good morning text. That moment when their inbox doesn't light up with your attention. That moment when they scroll through their feed and realize you're not there, and deep down you've been whispering to yourself, just wait. They'll notice, they'll regret, they'll finally see my worth. But let's pull the mask off this illusion right now. When they finally notice your absence, it's not because love suddenly struck them. It's not because they woke up one day overwhelmed with regret for losing you. It's not because silence created some great aching void in their heart. No, when they notice, it's because their comfort is gone. The convenience they once had, the validation, the chasing, the loyalty that never wavered, it's not there anymore. And that, my friends, is not love. That's panic. Think about it like this. Imagine someone has an old jacket, they throw it on the floor, step on it, forget it. Days pass, weeks pass, maybe even months. Then one day, the air is cold, the wind is harsh, and suddenly they remember that jacket. They dig through their closet, searching for it. Not because they value it, but because they're uncomfortable without it. That's you. They didn't notice you when you were right there, wrapping them in warmth. But when life gets cold, when their distractions fail, when their new comfort doesn't last, they look around and suddenly they notice you're gone. And here's the twist. They don't miss you. They miss what you did for them. They miss the security blanket of your effort, the safety net of your loyalty, the easy access to your energy. They miss the way you gave without asking, forgave without question, stayed without conditions. What they don't miss is the actual you, the soul, the heart, the person, because if they did, they would have cherished you when you were there. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone despises me, that's their problem. My only concern is not doing something worthy of contempt." And that's the mindset you must adopt. Their sudden realization isn't proof of your worth, it's proof of their emptiness. It's not about you at all. It's about their fear of losing control. They assumed you'd always be there. They thought they could treat you as an option and you'd keep showing up like clockwork. Your silence broke that illusion. And now their panic sets in, not because they love you, but because they've lost the control they once had over you. Let's ask the tough question. If someone only notices you when you're gone, what does that say about how much you mattered when you were there? If it takes your absence to wake them up, then they never saw your value in your presence. That's not love, my friends. That's entitlement. And entitlement is not what you deserve. Here's another picture for you. Imagine a child playing with a toy. They toss it aside, forget it, move on to another. But when someone else picks up that toy, suddenly they want it back. Not because they love it, but because they don't want to lose ownership. That's what happens when they notice your silence. They don't suddenly fall in love. They simply don't like losing what they thought belonged to them. And this is where most people fall into the trap. The text comes in, "Hey, been thinking about you." The call shows up, "I miss you," and your heart leaps. You think, "Finally, my silence worked. They realized my worth." But let me break the lie. They didn't. They're just fishing, casting a line, seeing if you're still hooked. They're not coming back because they've changed. They're coming back because you did. Because the old version of you, the one who begged, who chased, who broke in silence, is gone. And they're testing if they can pull that version out again. Don't fall for it. Don't confuse their curiosity with commitment. Don't mistake their panic for passion. Because if they truly cared, they wouldn't have let you go in the first place. They wouldn't have ignored your tears, dismissed your love, or treated you like an afterthought. Real love doesn't wake up after silence. It's awake all along. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Apply that here. Your worth doesn't grow when they notice you're gone. It was always there. You just had too many wants. You wanted their love, their attention, their validation. But silence teaches you this. You don't need their wants. You only need your own self-respect. So what happens when they finally notice? Nothing, unless you let it. Because their regret is not your reward. Their sudden attention is not your victory. Your real victory is that by the time they notice, you've already moved on. You've already reclaimed your energy. You've already built your empire. You've already risen into a version of yourself that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't settle. By the time they look for you, you're untouchable. And isn't that the sweetest ending? Not revenge, not manipulation, but transformation. When they finally notice you're gone, it won't matter, because you won't be waiting anymore. You'll be thriving in silence, living louder than you ever did when you were chasing them. So let me leave you with this, my friends. Write it in the comments right now. Let the world hear it. Their regret is not my reward. Say it, own it, let it be your shield. Because when they finally notice, you'll already be beyond their reach. And if this hit you hard, if you felt the truth sink into your chest, then don't just sit with it. Take action. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Be the reason another soul wakes up from the lies and finds their strength again. Together we rise, not for their attention, but for our freedom.